Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining, and we're going to do a video here just covering the basics of Binance. And the first one we did was to help you get registered and log in the first time. So now we're going to be taking a look at the Binance client, and this is the software program that you can download and install. And one of the main reasons that I like this, other than it's a good layout for being able to use for trading to show other people how to do stuff, is whenever the system is getting bogged down or there's an incredible amount of activity taking place, the browser will usually get bogged down, but your connection to the internet probably is not ever going to have a problem keeping up. It's the browser windows that can have problems keeping up. So if things get really important, you don't want to be sitting there waiting for a freeze to undo while you're trying to put in a position or get out of a position if there's a drastic change. Usually that's when crazy amounts of volatility are happening and crazy amounts of liquidity. The client just doesn't seem to get bogged down nearly as much as the browser, so that's when I started using it. I actually use both, but I believe that this is the best way to show people how to do stuff, and you can do this on Mac and Windows. One of the important reasons that I'm doing a video, this is a basic getting around on the Binance client. I'm going to do the same thing for the browser, and then do a separate one to compare the two. Kind of similar to at least the early days, especially of PC versus Mac. Things were very similar to things that you could do in Windows and on the Macintosh, but the layouts were kind of mirror opposites to each other. And you see some of the similar things happening here with the Binance client. So, getting to know your way around and why things are slightly different so you don't mess yourself up if you need to be in a browser or a client at different times on different days. So, starting up here, this right here allows you to set up your own price alerts. A really nice feature. I have not been using it a lot myself because I don't need so much specific price alerts as I do just the movement in the market based on percentages and other interesting things. But if this is the way that you like to do things, this is just as easy. Make sure you don't have hidden other pairs clicked, or you won't see what you're looking for unless you are just dealing with one coin all the time. So let's just say that I want to find out when Bitcoin goes down almost 9%. So I can add this price alert and it'll let me know. And I just put that over there. This is yellow because it means that I've got an alert, and I can clear it out, and there we go. Nice feature. Okay, Binance, this is this megaphone is where they keep up with any alerts or news, site updates, if they're doing maintenance, if they're listing a new coin. Check these all the time, or you can check it from their page. It's always important information. It's a great site. They always keep you up to date with stuff. To do a support ticket, that's how you get there from here. Settings. This, I don't know exactly what you would need this for. I don't use it. Perhaps this is just like an easier login type thing. This changes it to a horrendous green. You might like that better. That's perfectly fine. You're allowed to. Shortcuts. Super amazing, fantastic. So if people work the fastest from doing short keys, this is the way to go. I personally work very quick with left hand for numbers and right hand for mouse. But every once in a while I come here just to look at the reference and remember some of the things that I can't remember where to get around. So like coin switching, changing your candlesticks. It's very interesting. They're very thorough with this, so check it out if you're really into learning kind of the back end by using different quick keys. Nice stuff. So obviously logging in and out and resizing features. I'm not going to mess with that right now because I think I've got it to where you can see things correctly. So this is, in order to train getting around the site, you're going to get a little bit of a training on what this stuff actually means too, but we're going to go into much more detail of that separately. This is just to let you know how to get around. So every time you're comparing one coin to another, it's called a market. And so the entirety of what you can trade on the website would be considered the marketplace. So right now I'm set up USDS. I wanted to check and make sure that I was not muted. Don't want to get too far into this and find out I have to do it all over again. So USDS, these are all stable coins that are currently, they're based around $1. I guess if they start adding euro and other things, they might change this to, some other designation. But this tab, they designated it this way when it started to be more than just the Tether coin, which was based around being locked to the dollar bill. So now we have PAX is a stable coin. TUSD, that is a Trust coin, I believe. Trust USD. I'm just looking at the ones that I know are for Bitcoin. USDC is a, their big thing is government regulated. We don't have to deal with any hassles with the government because we jumped through lots of hoops just to make sure that we wouldn't have to deal with any problems with the government. So ironically, it looks like it's a Washington D.C. coin, but it's just another stable coin as far as trading goes. USDS, I believe, was just listed, and that's BNB. That's not BTC. BTC USDS. It's one of the things that the more of these that you have, it gets a little bit tougher to see the combinations. Not a really huge fan of that. We'll go into lots of in-depth discussion about stable coins and the effect they have on the market, because they do have an effect on the market. So this is the tab if you're looking to trade against essentially the dollar while you're staying within altcoins the whole time. It's like having the benefits of fiat without fiat. So it's kind of an interesting way to go. And you can, basically swing trade or day trade. Let me turn this off real quick. Okay, so we're back. So I had an alert going on in the background. So now we're going to look at trading against alts. This used to be just pairings with Ethereum, but because there are others trying to compete with trading against Bitcoin, we have Ethereum and we have more than just Ethereum. Okay, I was starting to think I was remembering this wrong. No. Okay, so you have your pairings with XRP and Ethereum. I think that might be it right now. So XRP has a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with it. They're getting very aggressive to have their position in the marketplace. They want to be taken seriously as a service and as a coin. I think that both of them are valid, and the whole argument about, well, XRP is not really a token, it's a blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, it's based on the same technology, and you can trade against it the same as other alts. But are they going to compete with the 50% plus market that BTC has? I don't think that that's the primary concern right now. And, as the shifts and changes take place, this is the ebb and flow of the marketplace. So alts will probably include, let me see if I can guess what else is going to be the heavy trading against, with Ethereum instead of Bitcoin and XRP instead of Bitcoin. I can't imagine that XRP is going to get huge grounding until they get beyond just having XZC and XRP. I would imagine Tron or the BTT, the BitTorrent coin, might get their place over here. Not a huge fan of what's happening there, but it is what it is. So well, I'm going to skip over this because it's the biggest one. Over here, BNB is Binance's coin, and BNB is very interesting because it is a very tradable coin. I find it a little bit too stable in its movement to get enough volatility to do good shorter term moves, but it is a good project, and I hope that they're able to continue what they're doing with it. It is also good because, and let me make sure again that I'm not muted. Yep, we're good. you can use BNB. You can turn on a feature that allows you to pay for your fees for trading in BNB coin, and you get a small discount. The first year was a 50% discount, so that was really nice, especially since we were learning how to do everything while we had a discount, so that was helpful, making very small, incremental profits along the way. So you can trade all these different coins against BNB, and it's a pretty good selection. This is not the pairing that I use, and I'm not going to be training people to use, but it does do very similar things to what the other coins will do, just in usually smaller volume. So here's the real deal right here. This is Bitcoin, and these are all the coins that you can trade against Bitcoin. There's, I believe, about 140 of them. I'm going to go through this slower. About 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So yeah, okay. So this is the whole list, and you can do it by. Now let's look at our pairings. You can do this by alphabetical order, and just clicking this switches from the end to the beginning and the beginning to the end. Over here, you can look by volume, and we'll discuss volume and why that's important. Super in depth. In fact, it's very interesting. BNB is not usually at the top of the volume list, so that's quite interesting. And Ethereum is usually higher than Litecoin. That's also interesting. And sometimes XRP is higher than both of them, which is also interesting. Here's BTT. It's still holding at a lot of volume. Very interesting. So once again, you can click this. The arrow goes up and down, similar to what we did with our pairings. You can start with the tiniest amount of volume, where you get lots of what I like to call Morse code. And you can click this direction to see the highest amount of volume, which right now it is in pairing BNB and Bitcoin together. You'll see I actually have a lot of positions here, but these are actually very low holding pattern positions. I like to store some of the value of my BTC there, so that I'm only trading in circulation what I'm trying to do at the current interval that I'm working at on my process. Okay, so change means 24-hour change, and volume means 24-hour volume. So we're going to have lots of beginner and advanced teachings on how to look at volume and how to do what other people, how to correct some things that other people teach wrong. So know how to look for the right things in volume and not things that are going to trip you up. So this is, your important way to get around. Also, if you're, let's say you're on Alt and you want to trade against Ethereum with Theta. So you can put that and you'll find it. Let's say you want to get quickly to the XRP and you can't remember what it's called. You could put in XR, and there you go. You can trade Tron and XZC against XRP, and it's easy to get around there. Okay, and then over here, my favorites. With this star, you can, let's say you click here. Well, I'm going to choose something that isn't one of my favorites. Don't remember. So what you do is you're going to use your mouse to right click, and you can either add it to compare, which we'll go over that feature in a second, or add to your favorites. So if I click add to favorites, now when I click the star to go to my favorites, guess what's going to be over here? Did you guess? I can't hear you. There it is. Hey, hey. So now I can find it easily grouped with the others, and I didn't really want it there, so I'm going to delete it from my favorites. It's no longer there. So super cool. Alright, so you should understand how to get around over here. This is how you select your coins. This is how you select what your coins are trading against. These are called markets, every single one of these. And you put it together, that's your marketplace. Super. Alright. So what we have up here in the center, this is going to tell you your pairing that you're working with. This is going to tell you the last price. The price is the going rate for the coin compared to whatever you're trading it against. So, and this will usually tell you in fiat what that value actually is. So we're trading EMG coin against BTC. Currently it is worth about 30 cents worth of a Bitcoin. And you'll see these trades over here are all in Bitcoin. So this is like, let's pretend that Bitcoin, 1 is worth, let's say, $10,000. So the first place after the decimal, this will be 1,000. This will be 400. So 414. Oh, hey, $414. So it takes 500 ENGs to equal 1,400. So what is this that we see over here? This is the order book. This is one of the most important things. If you were on a desert island and you did not have any charts or indicators, you could still trade if you had the order book. You might not do very well at it. Some people do. So what we have is our buys and our sells and where they come together for the current price. And this will tell us whatever it is finished resolving from the order book. So these are your trade history. And this is as of, let's watch for the next one to come. So at some point, in fact, we're going to find something that goes quicker. So that we're not waiting for a very long time. I'm actually going to guess that theta is going to resolve something fairly quickly. So the last thing it did was somebody was able to sell 47 theta 114 6. Okay, so you can see that this is happening live. Now, I'm personally usually hyper-focused on my own positions and how they're resolving. So I move this down a little bit just so I can see what's immediately happening, and I want more space for these. So it's a really good organization. Now, you can actually click. I want you to watch right here while I'm doing this, and you'll see that if you're in a rush or you want to jump right in with X, Y, or Z, you can see that you can click on the position. It'll choose the value. And I'm definitely not going to choose that value. But since I'm not trying to trade right now, I'm going to just put in something lower. And that's about $12 worth of theta at a very low position. And, I can choose that amount and put the order in. And now I have an open order for theta. It's not going to get that position. But so I can leave it there for a really long time, and I can think that it's going to go way down there. It's not. Hopefully the market won't eventually go there. And I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out. But you can see I said I'm going to go ahead and cancel. There you go. So you can see there's a correlation between the order book and where I'm putting in my purchases. All right, so continuing with the order book. This allows you to shift to where you're seeing a whole column of just the buys, and at the top is going to be the highest amount that somebody's looking to buy, and at the bottom it doesn't go on for infinity. There's a lot of buys that are lower than what you can see in this window, but this gives you a really good view, and if you needed to see even more, you can keep tracking this lower and lower if you wish. So this is also helpful, like if you really do just want to kind of click where other people have put stuff in, you can just click that value and it'll show up over there, and you can get to lower ones. Same thing goes for selling. You may have already bought some theta coin and now you want to sell it, but you want to see what other people are doing. So you can look like up here at 2,300, which right now we're at 2,155, so that would be 2,3, and that would be a lot of movement for it to do, but somebody has 8 Bitcoin up there. So there's a reason that they put that there. We'll go into those kind of discussions later. But this is your standard view where you can see both, and this is essentially the current price, which means that this is where things are resolving. And that is your regular view for the order book. Now up here you can change the number of decimals that it is showing you. And the fewer that it shows, the fewer you will see. I usually just leave that at 8. Okay, so now we're going to look at this section right here. I'm going to start with depth. And depth, people will usually look at this view to see what is holding something up for a buy or sell wall. And the idea of that, if you see something like this, but it's radically outweighing the other, usually somewhere right here, you're going to see what the percentage of the difference between buys and sells will be. And what this is a combination of volume, meaning like the amount of trades, and the rate that those trades exist at. So like if this is currently going at 2164, it's a visualization of how many trades at 2154 there currently are. And you can see there's not as many as there are waiting up here. So this is actually a fairly smooth process right here. When you get a bigger gap between the two, it's kind of a tougher process for it to resolve the order book. Some people like to visualize this way. You can use the mouse, click in there, and you can zoom in and out to see more information or see the information differently. So that is that. If you click on multi-interval, this is an interesting feature, a feature that does not always successfully update itself very well. But the idea here is that you can look at one coin, but see it over a few different ranges of time. And something keeps alerting that I don't know what it is. I'm going to find out one of these days. Okay. So right here, like we're using every one of these represents 1 minute. Over here, every one of these represents 15 minutes. Over here, all of these represent an hour, and all of these represent a day. Especially like if you are using a room full of different screens for different things, one for Bitcoin, one for this, one for that. You can have a big screen that's running 4 of the same position. If your brain works this way, it's a really good contrast to seeing other information. Here's kind of the same thing, but to be able to compare one coin to another. Very, very, very helpful, especially since I'm going to teach this over and over again and on different levels, but everything relates to Bitcoin. So you might want to see how, say I'm going to choose something that I know kind of got pumped. So now we're looking at Theta Coin, Bitcoin, CDT, and DLT, and we can see them all in comparison to one another. So I might just be curious, Bitcoin did this. Did my other coins do this? This one did not. This one did not. This one did a little bit. Theta tends to mirror that a little bit more. Let me see if any other coins do that. That one's not. In fact, I'm going to go for higher volume coins because usually they can keep up with Bitcoin better. But XRP, despite its wanting to be independent from Bitcoin, did a very similar thing. Look at those two. Do you see the same patterns? Yes or no? I can't hear you. Raven coins, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Right now, no. Okay. ONT, same difference. Yes, it is doing something very similar. In fact, if I get it right about there, well, it's kind of in an in-between place. So you get the idea here. You can compare 4 different coins. You can compare 4 different intervals of the same coin. And this is our normal view. This is where I spend most of my time. I usually rely on other signals and indicators and scanners to give me information about what the other coins are doing in relation to stuff. And once I'm in the right brain place, we call that getting in the room. So once I'm in the room, I'm thinking correctly about stuff. I don't have a hard time being able to remember where other positions were at the same time that I'm trading something else. So now we are going to look at kind of the heart of the whole trading process here. And this is our candlestick indicators. And obviously we'll do training on every single one of these things. In fact, for right now, I'm going to make this window to where it's nothing but the candlesticks. Okay, so when you first come in, you might see a view like this. And this is giving you a moving average, and I believe this is, yeah, it's giving the average and the volume. I'm actually going to get rid of that. And this is, a lot of sites will just give you the up and down movement, and this will usually be filled in. It looks a little bit more elegant. But yeah, we're going to be using candlesticks because there's so much information that is being represented in such a simple and streamlined and elegant way. Is just plain smart. So what this does is it gives us our 1 minute view on candles, and this is not a lesson about candles, so don't think that I'm skipping over that. That's going to be its own thing. I'm just showing you where to find stuff in the client, okay? So here's a single candle, and what this means is that this represents 1 minute of time. And we can actually look at the most recent. Let's choose something that is a little more active so you can really see what it's doing. I guess EOS is. So while this price is doing what it does over here, it'll be reflected in the candle. And we're going to only look at 1 minute's time. So okay, there we go. 1 minute has just begun. So it's going to give you indicators about up and down and positive and buys and sells and all this stuff within a candle. Well, most people don't always just sit at a 1 minute view. They'll look at it usually at 5 or 15 minutes. And they're going to look for longer, easier trends. So for instance, at 5 minutes, I can very easily see that over like an hour or two, it's been going like this, maybe over a day. It's been going down. It's kind of come way up here, and now it's stabilizing up here. So now each one of these represents 5 minutes of time, 15 minutes of time, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. And we'll talk all about how this is good for different things. You can go all the way up to a month. And usually that doesn't show you a whole heck of a lot because we've only been doing this for about 15 months on Binance. So that's what this view is right here. Now, if you have any of these things highlighted, it's going to share this window space, and you can adjust all these different frames to do whatever you need them to do. So, for instance, this is volume, and this is your moving average convergence divergence in MACD or MACD. This is just your moving average. I'm just going to focus on the ones that we're going to be using. These are your Bollinger Bands, named after a dude whose last name is Bollinger. Never heard of anybody else with that name since. EMA and SMA are, is it SMA? Yes, are very common measurements for stuff. We're not using those. We're using a combination that gives us better data overall. This is your stochastics RSI or stock RSI, and that is your relative strength index. It's a very stock market-y thing. Stocky. This is just the relative strength index. I don't find that nearly as helpful as the stock RSI. And we have our VWAP, one of the most underrated, underused tools. Once again, with the desert island, if you could only choose one indicator, boy, I couldn't choose one indicator. That's not fair. But VWAP is fantastic. So there it is. So those things just show right up on the screen. Back up here, you have your tools. This is for drawing stuff and making a mess of the screen. Now this is probably your Fibonacci sequence. And something that I do not do, yes, it is very effective to be able to draw this stuff and to get all of your different, get your triangles so you can show where movement has happened. Let me line that up. You know, this is good for expressing the stuff to somebody else, and now I'm in the vicarious position to remember where delete is. I believe the browser has a clear, clear the thing. Oh, thank you. Okay, good. That was easy enough. So all these mean things, and you can use it for things that you want to point out. Can I drag it? See, that's just so, why? Okay. But anyway, there's all of your tools. Obviously, that is not my thing. I've seen people that are very good at doing that, and that's fantastic, but I don't have a problem with zooming in and pointing to things with an arrow. Are you okay with that? Like if I wanted to say, imagine a line going like this, you can do that, right? Okay, you can do that. Because, I mean, I'll get good at drawing on the screen if you want me to do that. But I really don't want to. Okay. So this is kind of my normal setup. This is the way I like to view things. And you can change the color of these things. Let's see if I can remember where that is. I never bother changing those. I apologize for that. I should have that information better for you. So this is with all of our indicators on. We're at 1 minute candlesticks. We have our view. We know how to read the order book. We know how to look at the trade history. So let's say that you are ready to buy some EOS, and a lot of people say don't do that. So let's choose. Well, I like waves, and waves is in a very, very, very low place. compared to the 8,500 that it probably will be doing sometime soon. But let's just pretend that I wanted to get it even lower. Let's say like 6,800. And this is on buy. One of the huge differences between the client and the browser versions, when you switch back and forth, this is where you're actually executing an order. Okay. This lets you switch. It uses the same space to switch between buying and selling. It's very effective and very efficient. This will tell you how much you have in your account right now. I've got more than this, but this is what I'm letting myself use in circulation right now. This is if you wanted to jump in, you see something mega important happening and you just want to get in. You put in a market order and it's not going to wait. It'll fill it immediately. The problem is that that may not be the amount that you think it is. It may be working on resolving a huge chunk of stuff and your market order just allowed it to eat something way higher than where it currently is. And if you only wanted to make a tiny amount of movement, you didn't do as well. So I recommended, don't ever use anything other than limit. And this is fortunately the default, but what if they do an update and it wasn't the default, right? So, let's just make sure. See, now it's bugging me. I gotta know how to change the color. There we go. That's how you change the colors. You can change colors. Yep. It works just fine. Don't like it at all. And so I'll change both of them. Change both of them to the same thing. See what I did there? Okay. All right, so that's how you change your colors. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so let's say that I want to put in an order for 6,800 on waves. I'm just gonna, okay, this will be about $70 at 6,800. So I click buy and order success. So here's my order. Now this doesn't mean that I'm over here and I'm in the game. It has to actually hit 68,000. It's actually representing it as 1 decibel less. We'll go to all that later. Look at the numbers from over here so you don't get confused. Make sure that your decimals are right until you're really comfortable with trading. So let's say that this order went through and I'm like, ooh, okay, I own this now. So I want to decide what I want to sell at. In fact, you don't have to wait for that to happen. So let's say I don't want to sell it until it's worth 7,200, okay? So you can put your 7,200 in. And when this goes in, it will show you in your balance here, it'll show you that you have that to sell. So you could say I'm going to sell 100% of my waves at this amount. I want to sell 50% of my waves at this amount. Or you can enter this until it reaches the amount that you want. And then you click sell. And the same way that you chose buy, you'll be able to choose sell. And that's pretty straightforward. If you don't like this after a while, cancel it. Pretty cool, huh? I thought so too. All right, so here's something you want to be very careful with. Do not click cancel all unless you really mean cancel all. If you've been doing this a while, you have a lot of orders, and you think that you're clicking open orders or your trade history or order history, and you click cancel all, yeah, you're going to have to remember what all those positions were supposed to be. And that would be a very bad thing. It could be a nightmare after months go by. Okay, so speaking of which, over here, let's see. Let's put in our pretend order again for about $74. So you can see the pair. This is the Waves BTC market. Type limit order. Side buy. And if I was selling, it would say side sell. The price, that's the going amount, and it's a lot lower than it is right now. Amount, this is how many waves I want to buy. And this is going to tell you how much from the order book it is resolved. It may not have everything that it needs to resolve your order right away. Sometimes you put it in and it'll just be so fast you didn't even see this percentage. If it's really lots of activity in the market, or it's a really low volume coin, then you might be able to see the percentage. And it might even get stuck at a certain percentage, and you can decide, okay, do I want it to just go ahead and fill that part of the order and I'll cancel the rest? You can do that. So I don't mess with canceling limits or stop limits. I love this feature right here. Refresh is obvious. If it's not refreshing, use refresh. Hidden other pairs. This lets me see what is happening with all the other coins. This is from our history of doing, I guess, about 12,000, 13,000 transactions in this account. We have about maybe 50, 60 positions. So it's, we've got more than, probably closer to 99.3% accuracy at this point. But this lets you see, anything that you're working with. And it might be kind of like a trigger your brain, like, oh, what was that other one that I was trying to sell? You can see it immediately. Something might be happening with one coin and you're looking at the compare feature and you say, ooh, I need to get out of that, and you can see what you're doing. Something that the client does that the browser does not, that I think is a great feature, and it's one of the things that I like moving around on this. I like the way the browser looks better, but I like the way that the client operates better in some ways, except for this part is maybe a little bit better in the browser. You can double click to switch to the different coins, and I just think that that's so fantastic. So you just double click and it'll switch to whichever pairing that is. That's just awesome. Love it. Very cool. So that gets you around this place. And if you need all that other stuff to go away, now I'm just seeing Steam. Let's get back to our waves position. And I'm going to do hidden other pairs. And now that I've shown you how that works, I'm going to cancel that. Very, very good. Great job. Okay. This is just showing 7 decimals because that's all there are to represent this coin. I mean, that's the most that there are to represent this coin. So we covered buy, sells, trade history, looking at the indicators and charts window, your rows of different indicators you can switch to, these horrible, terrible tools that you can mess up the football game by not being able to see the screen anymore, depth, candlestick, multi-interval, and compare. We've seen all these different things. We've changed from trading against Bitcoin to alts, which is really Ethereum, OYA, and also XRP. And these are your stable coins that are, 1 or 2 of them are good. Too many of them can cause a problem. We know how to change from 24-hour change high and lows. We know how to change to our volume. We know how to change through the alphabet for our different pairings. And those are all our very important things. The only other one I'm going to show over here is the markets. And this is, some people are very good at visualizing things this way. To me, I don't think in terms of seeing information this way. But it's a good overall layout to show you everything that's going on. And when you click on different coins, it shows you this is kind of what you'll see with a lot of sites like Robinhood and such. TradingView and Binance are both much more robust as far as getting real visualization on things. You'll be able to see your funds that are available for different coins. You'll be able to see your deposits of coins coming in from your wallets and your withdrawals. And I'm not clicking on those, that's personal information. So this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time here on the Binance Exchange. So look in the link. You can click and join right away. It's very easy to register for free. It takes just a couple of minutes. You'll set up your 2-factor authentication. You'll be able to log in, and then boom, you're there. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. You know what? I see a little bit more information you're going to want to have. I apologize. Okay. Here's your coin pairing. I didn't mention this part. Okay, your last price. Well, you can see the last price was the price that it currently is. 24-hour change. It has changed almost 5% over the past 24 hours. The highest that it was is 366. The lowest was 312. That's a really good margin of, actually that's, okay, I took your word for it. That's a percent. And this is your 24-hour volume right here. This, to me, this is more important than seeing the highs and the lows because I'm going to find those myself on the chart. That's where my brain is, and that's probably going to how I'm going to teach you to look at things. But yes, you probably should pay attention to all 3 of these just as equally. Not probably, you should. It's the right thing to do. Do that. There's also, there's lots of other details that I can show you here. I mean, but this is information. Really, you're going to set it and forget it. I don't want you to get too bogged down with what these things mean. When I go over the indicators, I'm going to go in depth with what you're looking for so you can visualize the process. Some people are more numbers people, some people are more visualization. I kind of put the two together and just my brain does the calculation with what I see. So I don't really need to read the things that a lot of people will tweak and edit a lot. I just kind of adjust myself to those. So I hope that this has been helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and click the link in the video description to join and get started. We look forward to having you be a part of the process. Thanks so much for watching this video. Bye.